Hi, welcome to the Crates Motel. My name's Conan. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the mystical plugin, the Air Diode Clip. It doesn't really have any instructions online. No one really knows exactly what it does. Some of us have a vague idea of what it's supposed to do, and some of us have an idea of what diode clipping is. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to demonstrate Air Diode Clip on various sources, show you how I use it. I have had quite a few requests because people have noticed that I use it as a kind of flavor box on my mastering template, and I use it alongside or instead of as an alternative to tube drive sometimes. So I just kind of really wanted to show you how I use it. This isn't a definitive video on Air Diode Clip. It's just really going to be a video showing ways that you can use it in the mix. So let's jump in. So what is diode clipping? Well, I'm not going to go into too much science on it, to be honest. Diode clipping is, in layman's terms, a way to create a kind of distortion sound, an overdrive sound. That's, if I was to just kind of sum it up in a sentence, that's what I would say. A lot of people use it in mixing to help some low end cut through the mix to kind of create that saturation harmonic trick that you use to get like an 808 kick to stand out on your phone or on a smaller sound system that doesn't have low end. And that's how I tend to use it. It's not the only way you can use it. Just to quickly say, do I think that Air Diode Clip is a good emulation of diode clipping? No, I don't, not really. However, that being said, forget all the rules. We don't care whether it's, let's just say it's called Air Diode Clip, but I'm going to show you what you can do with it. Is it diode clipping? I don't actually care. So if you want an accurate emulation of diode clipping, this is probably not the plugin that you would want to use. But I use it on my mastering template as a kind of flavor box, just to add a little bit of dirt and grit, in the same way I would use a plugin like Sound Toys Decapitator. That's a very well-known one. And Black Box, that's another one from Plugin Alliance, which is based on a hardware unit. So it's kind of a flavor that I will use in mastering, or even in the mix as well. I mean, I'll use it on kicks sometimes, bass lines, synth sounds, that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I use it on various sources today, just to break an 808 beat, and I'll probably show how to use it on a Moog kind of sound as well. So let's get stuck in. We'll start with okay, so that's just a sample off a track. I can't remember what it is. It's from the early 70s. It's kind of dirty anyway. Let's jump into diode clip. Now I've got diode clip set up on the effects chain, just on the actual track, at track level, but I'm going to show you another way to use it later on as well. So at track level, I have my own initial setup, because the way that the default is in the Akai, it's already a little bit weird. So I just like to zero everything. There's a couple of really good functions actually on this. Again, are they really diode clip emulations? Not really, but the best way really for me to show you how this mystical voodoo plugin works is really just to kind of show you the effects that you can have on things. So just running through quickly, the input high pass is really just going to roll off the low end. So it's going to affect how you create the distortion. So if you don't want your low end to distort, or you just really kind of want to concentrate on the mids and the high mids and the highs, you can use that to roll that off basically. The envelope speed, it would seem, is almost like a transient control, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. If you have it set up much longer, it kind of sizzles and it has a real kind of soft feeling to the distortion sound, whereas all the way back on zero is quite hard and quite almost sounds like a transient designer that's giving a bit of punch to the distortion sound. And then you've got on the output, you've got high pass and low pass filters, and I'll show you how they work in a second. Here you have a wide button. That just seems to apply a Hass effect, so it's probably very slightly delaying the left and right, but it makes it sound wide in the mix. And it's really quite useful. You can use it just to kind of widen a signal without really applying too much distortion to it. The solo button is really useful, because you basically have a way to listen to exactly how your distortion is sounding, how your overdrive, if you want to call it, is actually sounding. So that's really, really useful. So let's just play around a little bit with this beat. Obviously you have the level at the bottom, which is kind of the drive, which is how much you're applying the effect. So you can hear straight away it kind of starts sounding a little bit gritty, and there's a little bit of additional kind of high mid to the sound. So you can hear how the wide opens up the actual sound. So I'm going to start playing around with these, and then I'll show you what the solo button does as well, which is really interesting. So you can hear with that, I'm starting to not distort the low end, and it's just kind of distorting the, I'm saying distorting because it's an easier way of saying diode clipping, but it's not. I know there's going to be quite a few people who are going to say this isn't a distortion plugin, and I guess at the fundamentals it isn't. It's a diode. It's supposed to be a diode clipping, but we're just going to say distortion for the. It's just easier. So watch what happens when I play with the envelope speed, and it kind of affects how the sizzle kind of sounds. And when I start playing with the high pass filter, you can almost feel some of the low end kind of drop out. And with the low pass filter, the sizzle that's applied is basically going to be reintroduced, I guess. You'll see what I mean. So it's kind of a matter of really feeling your way around this plugin and understanding what each element of the plugin is doing. The best way to do that is just to take a sound and just kind of fiddle around. I mean, you know, that's a good way to work your way through a lot of plugins, but it is also useful to have a little bit of kind of general knowledge on what the plugin's supposed to be doing, so that you kind of know where to start and you're not overwhelmed. And you know, and don't forget, you can always just go back to you can just initialize the plugin again if it starts sounding a bit crap. Another thing to do, which I do often with plugins, especially distortion plugins, things like that, is to drive it further than I normally would, get it kind of set up to how I like it sounding, and then just dial it back a little bit. So I'm going to show you what the solo button does, and what it is basically doing is playing you the effect that you're having. And I'll show you what the envelope speed does. At the moment, you can hear the actual kind of sample, the transients of the sample, but when I bring the envelope speed up, so you can hear it's almost affecting the transient of the signal. So let's just zero that again. Zero everything. Well, kind of zeroing everything. Take that back down again, and we'll come out again, and I'm going to play this beat. Just before we go any further, I want to point out I'm not by any means a drill producer. I don't normally make beats on the with an 808 in this style, but I know a lot of people do, so I kind of wanted to use it to represent. So it's a very basic version of some of those great drill beats that I hear people do. So you hear by adjusting the input high pass, it's not affecting the kick as much, or it's not being affected by the kick as much. So you can just kind of add that distorted kind of sound to the mids and the high mids. But if you take it right down, then it's going to be affected by the kick, which, you know, with 808s and stuff like that, that's kind of what you want, really. So you can kind of hear that basically what it's doing is just adding kind of a little bit of saturation and harmonics to it, which will actually help it stand out on a smaller speaker, like a phone, that kind of thing. But it also just gives it that really kind of gritty sound. What I quite often do when I use it in my mastering template is I will use it very, very subtly, very, very lightly, just to kind of add a tiny little bit of low end saturation. So let's just quickly demonstrate what you can do with it on something like a Moog kind of a bass sound. Just going to zero that again, just quickly. It's a bit too much sizzle on there. So you can hear again, it's just kind of adding a kind of little bit of distortion and stuff. But this is where I feel personally, when you're applying it to something like this, you probably need to use it in parallel, which is what I'm going to show you now. So let's just take that off there and we'll take it back to the original 808 drum beat. Okay, right, so what I've done is on the return 4, I've set up Diode Clip on return 4 basically, so you can see it just here. If I just find it, 1, 2, 3, 4, there you go. So Diode Clip's on return 4, and then all I need to do is send Now, the reason why I've done it like this is because when you've got it in parallel like that, so you've got the 808 playing on your track 1, track 2, whatever track it is, and then you're sending to return 4, and the signal from return 4 and the signal from the 808 are going to your submix or your master out. That way you can blend the actual effect a lot easier, and it can be you can use it in a much more subtle way, because when you're just using it as a plugin on your track effects chain, there isn't really a wet dry as such. I mean, you can affect the level here, but there's not really a way that you can dial in the exact sound that you want and then blend it with the dry signal. A wet and dry on there would be really, really useful actually. But you know, the way that you can get around that is to use it as a send effect rather than an insert effect. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. So you hear how that's way more subtle using it that way. And for me personally, I prefer it that way. So I've got it kind of set up to add a little bit of overdrive on the low end and the highs, you know, the snare and the hi-hat and the width, but it's just a lot more subtle and just sounds, to me, it sounds more natural and it sounds less like you've put a plugin on as such, which is what you want to do. With plugins like this, you're really kind of just emulating clipping something, clipping some tubes or clipping the input into some converters. So I think when it's in parallel like this, set up as a send effect, you have a lot more control over it. Obviously then, as it's set up as a send effect, you can also EQ it, you can add compression to it. So you just have way more control over it. That's how I tend to use it if I'm using it mixing in the actual MPC. So there you have it. This was actually one of the hardest videos I've had to make in terms of trying to describe what a plugin actually does, because it's so vague and there's so little information about it online. And I'm not a big fan of showing how a plugin works by just saying throw the plugin on and twist the knobs around. But sometimes that is a really, really good way to work out how a plugin works. So really with this video, what I kind of wanted to do was to at least give you a kind of basic background on what the plugin is supposed to do and what the actual controls in the plugin are going to enable you to do, enable you to affect. And, you know, overall, like I said, is it a particularly good diode clip emulation? In my opinion, no, it isn't really, but that doesn't mean it's not a good effect. There's a couple of effects in the Akai MPC that I've covered that are not particularly good emulations of what they're supposed to be, but they are still good plugins. The MPC 60, for instance, the vintage plugin that you can put on doesn't sound anything like an MPC 60. And I speak from experience on that. However, it's a plugin that I use on nearly every single mix or every single track that I make in the MPC, because it just adds this really nice, slightly saturated low end to any source that you put through it or any source that you add the plugin to. So, you know, that's another example of a plugin that doesn't really do what it's supposed to do, but does actually do a really, really good job. And that is the case with quite a few plugins in the MPC. So, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I wanted an emulation of diode clipping, would I run out and buy the Air Diode Clip? Well, fortunately, no, I don't need to, because it comes free, obviously. But let's just say it didn't come free. Hypothetically, would I run out and buy it because I want to emulate diode clipping? No, I wouldn't use that plugin for that. But do I want a plugin that can help low end cut through a mix and add a little bit of character and a bit of flavor and a bit of mojo, secret sauce, whatever you want to call it, then yeah, Diode Clip's decent for that. So I hope that helps. I'm not sure I have any more idea on what the Diode Clip is supposed to do than I did when I first did the research and put this video together, but hopefully there's a little bit of light shed on it. So thanks for watching. This is Craig's Motel. My name's Conan. Till next time.